It was 2003, and Sarah Jensen had just landed her first real job at a bustling marketing firm in downtown Chicago. Fresh out of college, the world felt full of possibility. Her new employer offered a 401k, a term she vaguely understood as saving for old age. She signed up, opted for the default contribution, and felt a quiet satisfaction. This, she believed, was the first step on the well-trodden path to a comfortable retirement, a future where she could relax, travel, and enjoy the fruits of her labor, just like her parents had. The concept felt simple, almost automatic. The 401k itself was born from an obscure amendment in the 1978 Revenue Act, never intended to be the primary retirement vehicle for millions. Yet, by the 1980s, it had exploded in popularity, gradually replacing traditional pension plans. Employers loved it for its reduced liability, employees, for its tax advantages and perceived control. It became the cornerstone of the American retirement dream, a self-directed journey toward financial independence. For Sarah, and a generation like her, it represented freedom and responsibility, all wrapped into one powerful savings account. But beneath the surface of this promising system, a quiet erosion began. For decades, the narrative around 401(k)s focused on market returns and compound interest. What largely went unaddressed were the external pressures that would steadily chip away at people's ability to contribute meaningfully. Life, with its unpredictable expenses and demands, often makes consistent, aggressive saving a luxury. This unseen struggle, the silent battle against insufficient retirement savings, would become the unspoken truth for many, including Sarah, as years turned into decades. Sarah's early career saw her contributing the employer-matched percentage, a seemingly responsible choice. Yet, as the years passed, the cost of living surged. Rent in Chicago climbed steadily, student loan payments loomed large, and healthcare premiums became a significant chunk of her paycheck. The idea of increasing her 401k contribution beyond the match often felt impossible. Each month, her budget was a tightrope walk, leaving little room for the extra savings that financial advisors recommended. This was not a failure of will, but a symptom of a larger systemic shift. It wasn't just Sarah. Across the country, a generation found itself drowning in debt. Student loans became a multi-trillion-dollar problem, credit card balances grew, and the dream of homeownership often meant taking on a massive mortgage. Every dollar allocated to paying down these immediate liabilities was a dollar not contributed to a 401k. The future felt abstract when the present was demanding so much. This fundamental tension between present financial stability and future retirement security is a core driver of the insufficient savings problem. Then came the inevitable curveballs of life. A sudden medical emergency for a family member, a job loss that forced a temporary hiatus from contributions, or the immense financial undertaking of raising children. For Sarah, it was the arrival of her twin daughters in her late 30s. Daycare costs alone were staggering, eclipsing what she could realistically put into her retirement fund. Each life event, while joyous or challenging, often forced a reprioritization of funds, pushing retirement savings further down the list of financial necessities. This wasn't about irresponsibility, it was about reality. Despite these challenges, Sarah often felt a false sense of security. Her 401k balance, while not rapidly growing, was still increasing due to market performance, especially during bull runs. It created an illusion of progress. But what she wasn't regularly calculating was whether that growth, coupled with her contributions, was truly enough to meet her actual retirement needs, which were also escalating. This disconnect between a growing balance and an adequate balance is a dangerous trap many fall into, delaying the painful realization until it's much harder to course correct. The default contribution rates in many 401k plans, often set at 3% or 6% of salary, compounded the problem. While these rates are sufficient to capture an employer match, they are frequently far below what's needed for a truly comfortable retirement. Many employees, like Sarah, set it and forget it, assuming the default is enough. They weren't actively educated on the difference between contributing enough for a match and contributing enough for a robust retirement. This passive undercontribution became a silent thief of future financial freedom. Fast forward to 2023. Sarah, now 45, sat down with a financial planner, Mr. Henderson, for the first time. The numbers laid bare a stark reality. Her 401k balance, while respectable on its own, was nowhere near what she'd need to maintain her current lifestyle into retirement. The gap between her projected savings and her desired retirement income was vast. It was a moment of profound realization, a stark awakening to the problem nobody talks about, the silent, growing deficit in millions of retirement accounts across the nation. This was the tension building to a critical point. Mr. Henderson explained that the burden of retirement savings had shifted almost entirely to the individual. Unlike her parents' generation, who often benefited from defined benefit pension plans, Sarah and her peers were now solely responsible for navigating market volatility, managing investment choices, and correctly estimating their future needs. This shift, while empowering for some, left many others vulnerable and unprepared. Without expert guidance or robust financial literacy, it was easy to fall behind, caught in a system designed for self-reliance but not always for widespread success. Another insidious factor Mr. Henderson highlighted was inflation. While her 401k balance grew, the purchasing power of that money was constantly eroding. What seemed like a substantial sum today would buy significantly less in 20 years. This stealth tax on savings meant that her investment returns needed to outpace not just market fluctuations, but also the relentless march of rising prices. Without aggressive contributions and intelligent investment strategies, inflation alone could turn a seemingly adequate nest egg into a disappointingly modest one. It was a race against time and economics. The good news is that people are living longer. The challenging news is that a longer lifespan means more years in retirement, and therefore, a larger sum of money needed to sustain that lifestyle. Medical advancements and healthier living have extended life expectancy, but few retirement plans truly account for potentially 25 to 30 years post-work. This longevity bonus becomes a financial burden if savings are insufficient, forcing many to either work longer than desired or significantly downgrade their quality of life in their later years. It's a bittersweet irony. For Sarah, the conversation with Mr. Henderson was a turning point. The initial panic gave way to a cold, hard determination. The fear of falling short, of not having enough to enjoy her golden years or, worse, becoming a burden to her children, was a powerful motivator. This fear is a shared sentiment for many nearing retirement without adequate savings. It's not just about comfort, it's about dignity, independence, and the ability to choose how to spend the final chapters of one's life. The American dream of retirement was suddenly looking precarious. So, what can be done when faced with such a daunting deficit? Mr. Henderson outlined a series of steps. First, understanding your true financial picture, debts, expenses, and current savings. Second, setting aggressive, realistic savings goals beyond just the employer match. Third, exploring catch-up contributions if eligible. Fourth, actively managing investment choices, perhaps with professional guidance. And crucially, understanding that it's never too late to take control, even if the path ahead is steeper than initially imagined. The resolution wasn't easy, but it was a path forward. Beyond individual actions, the problem of insufficient retirement savings demands broader solutions. This includes greater financial literacy education, more robust default settings for 401k contributions, and potentially government policies that encourage or even mandate higher savings rates. The problem nobody talks about isn't a personal failing, it's a societal challenge that requires collective attention and innovative thinking. As Sarah began her journey to course correct, she realized her story was part of a much larger narrative, a call for a renewed national conversation. 3 months after her crucial meeting, Sarah felt a renewed sense of agency. She had adjusted her budget, increased her 401k contributions, and was actively exploring supplementary savings options. The initial optimism from her first job had returned, but now it was tempered with realism and informed action. Her path to retirement was no longer an automatic stroll but a deliberate, thoughtful trek. The 401k remains a powerful tool, but its true potential is only unlocked when individuals understand its limitations and actively take control of their financial destiny, instead of passively hoping for the best. The conversation has begun.